My guest today is Reginald Davenport.
All
He
right.
was a physics teacher at the Governor's School from 1994 to 1998. He's now principal at Glen High School. How are you doing today?
Doing fine, man. I love my Saturdays because my weeks are busy. Yeah.
So, can you get us caught up from everything that's happened to you since leaving Governor's School?
All right. I left in 1998, and the reason why I left was because I wanted to teach in a more comprehensive school. And I took a job at J.R. Tucker High School, and I taught there for 4 years. Within those 4 years, I became a department chair as well as an administrative aide. My original goal was to teach physics forever when I left VCU, but I had the principal at Tucker who had other ideas for me. So I dabbled in administration as an administrative aide, and then a position came open. I had to go back and get some endorsement in administration supervision. So I went through UVA and a position opened up, and I became an assistant principal in 2002. In 2010, I left Tucker because that's when they opened up Glen Allen High School. And I became the first associate principal at Glen Allen. And then 4 years ago, I became the principal of Glen Allen High School. So in my career, I've been in three school systems: the Governor's School, which was a regional school, touching students from Chesterfield, Hanover, and all over the place. And then J.R. Tucker, which is in Henrico, and then Glen Allen, also in Henrico.
Can you tell us about how soon you knew you wanted to be a teacher in physics?
Um, I think I always knew
Mm.
when I went to VCU, but when I went to VCU, I went in as a pre-engineering major with the idea of transferring to Virginia Tech, but I fell in love with VCU. And just taking the physics classes, I decided just to stay with physics. And toward the end of my senior year, I'm trying to figure out what should I do with my physics degree. And I didn't really want to sit behind a desk. So I took a career placement assessment. And every time I took it 3 times, and teacher came up first. So that was a sign that I need to go into teaching. And after I graduated with a BS in physics, I stayed for another year to get my master's of teaching in secondary education and physics education. And then I came right to the governor's school.
Can you tell us how you found the Governor's School or how they found you?
I did my student teaching at Lothian High School in Chesterfield, and they had a position open, and I interviewed for that position, just waiting for them to give me a call back because the goal was for me to teach at Midlothian and then the next year transfer to James River because James River just opened at that time. While I was waiting for Chesterfield to call me, the governor's school called. And I asked my advisor at VCU, I said, what should I do? He said, go interview. And then the same day, Dr. Ballou called me back and offered me the position. And I had to make a decision. Should I wait for Chesterfield or go ahead and take the governor's school? Took the governor's school. Because I couldn't wait that long because I really needed a job because I just graduated.
For
So,
sure. What
yeah.
were those very early days like in Governor's School? I've heard from some other faculty just how chaotic those first couple years were. Like, what was your experience?
When I first got there, my experience was great. The students were awesome. Wherever I've gone, I truly and really do enjoy the students and also the collaboration that I have with the faculty and staff. Dr. Ballou was an awesome boss to work for, and I had a great science department. Phil Tharp was my department chair back then. Had the opportunity to work with Harold Holton. We were the two physics teachers there, learned a lot from Harold. And also, I think I needed the governor's school in my career because that's where I made my initial connections. For example, Dr. Linda Noel Batiste, who is still my best friend, took care of me because I had to learn my way into education. So learned a lot at the governor's school. Also had connection with TJ back then. My best friend, also William Waller, who was a physics teacher, and TJ, we're still best friends. And his daughter is my goddaughter. So I made those connections at the governor's school. And then after Ballou left, then we had some other, Dr. Shannon came in, and it just went in a different direction. And that's when I figured out I just I wasn't happy at that point being at the governor's school, and I needed to make a change. Because when I entered education, I wanted to experience many different aspects of education. So my goal was to make changes every 4 to 6 years. So after 4 years at the governor's school, an opportunity came open at Tucker High School. And I got into Henrico because I don't know if you remember Kevin O'Brien was a math teacher.
Mm-hmm.
He got me connected with Henrico. So that's how I started putting my application in Henrico County.
Gotcha. What was the process like becoming part of an administration team, not just a teacher? Like, what new skills did you have to learn? What was that experience like?
New skills, once again, it's just relationships with people. It really wasn't a new skill. The biggest difference from a teacher to an administration piece is that in a classroom, you have your 150 students that you have for 5 classes, and those are your students. But when you become an administrator, you deal more with parents and a wider range of students. As a physics teacher, you know the type of students that took physics. And I wanted a broader range of interaction with students, just not that students that were mainly focused on their academics. Because in the comprehensive high school, you get it all. Mm-hmm. You get it all. So some of the things that you have to learn, the different philosophies in administration and supervision, the logistics, the operations, how to deal with individuals not inside a classroom. So it was good. Wasn't too bad. Lunch duty was something that I've always done since I became an administrator. So when I do lunch duty, I'm like, wow, I went to college to watch young people eat. So you don't get that time just to eat by yourself. But once again, when you're around individuals, young people, I call them young people, you learn so much from them.
You talked about different philosophies of administration. Like, where do you pick up new philosophy ideas?
My philosophy back when I started the governor's school was to teach so that no student's afraid to be wrong. We know what to do, because with creativity, when kids when they grow up, they have that creativity. They want to do this, they want to do that, but then because of standards, SOLs, and all of that, teachers are stuck in such a situation where they want to do this, they need to do this so they can enhance the creativities of students, but we get stuck in that same old rut that we have to cover this. I think because of this pandemic, I've come up with 3 different words: redesign, reimage, rethink, education. This opens up an opportunity that we can do that. And we have to be brave enough and emboldened to have an opportunity to do that. And I have a boss right now in Henrico County, and he helps us to take those steps to rethink, to reimage education, because we're losing a lot of students. We see students who don't want to be in school. So this is an opportunity. How can we restructure education so that we cover a wide band? Because there's a lot of students that fall between the cracks. Because we have IEPs where we capture those students. And then usually, in most cases, our students that are highly motivated and gifted, they have that extra push. But then there's a group of students in the middle that on the border that we need to take a better look at. So my philosophy is that whenever you go into a situation in the classroom as a teacher or as an administrator, you have to start building relationships with individuals, because they have to know that you care about them first before you can start teaching them.
What's been the hardest thing with this year for you and your school?
March 13th, that was the date that I remember. And then just a makeshift from my office at school to my makeshift office in my family room. Mm-hmm. And just motivating teachers to do their best. Don't know if you know a lot about teachers or teaching, but our teachers are they like to be perfectionists. So I always have to come up with some type of motivating phrases. And because none of us have been in this predicament before with the pandemic, it's like becoming a first-year teacher all over again. So I have to continually remind my teachers, extend grace, and mercy and just be patient, because I don't have all the answers. Things are very fluid. And that's one word that I got tired of using, is fluid, from the very beginning, because we will make a plan, but you have to be willing and able to adjust, because we don't know the answers. So that's been the most difficult part recently. And just recently from Thursday, Henrico County finally made a decision on the future coming back to school. Secondary won't start until February, but we'll get primary in right after Thanksgiving. It'll be a phased in approach, because parents want the choice to send their kids back to school. But they have to understand it's not going back to what it used to be. It's going to be different. There's the social aspects of school is going to be very different from March 12th because of the COVID-19. It's going to be difficult. And right now, in order to have a plan for students to return safely, that's a lot of pressure put on principals. And then I have to put that pressure on my admin team and leadership team. Because the worst thing that I don't want is to have a student or staff member to pass away from COVID-19.
So to date, since you guys have started this school year, you've been online only, is that right?
Yeah, we've been virtual. I've been going into the building just to be there. We do have teachers working in the building to teach virtually, but the majority of my staff is working from home.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
And what you'll be moving to in February is like a hybrid where some people are in school and some people are at home still?
Right, exactly.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So it's interesting. So we'll see how that happens in February. But I'm looking forward to it.
Totally.
Yeah.
Any silver linings for you this year? You mentioned a little bit about this being an opportunity for you to kind of reimagine education. Beyond that, any other things that you feel really good about this year?
This year, right now, I can say that our attendance rate is awesome. Students do show up. We see mostly initials on the monitor because they won't turn on their cameras, and we can't force them to turn on their cameras. But there are some other challenges because students are procrastinators. Individuals are. They wait to the last minute to turn in their work. So the grades don't look so good right now, but eventually I think that will get better over time. And even when they come back into the building, it's still going to be a virtual type atmosphere, even though some can see their teachers face to face. But the actual setup of the classrooms have to be different because of the CDC guidelines and social distancing. So the silver lining, I believe, if we take this opportunity in certain aspects of education, I think we can redesign certain aspects of it. Each high school has a specialty center. The one at the Glen High School is the Center for Education and Human Development. So right now, my direct supervisor is looking at how to change the approach to get a more diverse group of students involved in all these different specialty centers because it's underrepresented of the school population.
Do you miss teaching directly anymore? That's kind of a different way that people, the satisfaction you get from teaching, is it just different than what you get from an administrator? Are there other ways that you're filling that need? Are you doing any other types of teaching right now?
Not doing any teaching right now. I do miss it. I had some opportunities as a guest speaker at Virginia State University just to talk to up and coming teachers and administrators. And once I'm in that atmosphere, I love it. I do miss teaching physics. I really do. I had the opportunity to teach my last 2 years AP physics, and it's a great feeling. So I do try to go into the classroom, especially physics, just to see how it's going because I miss the hands-on activities. And just like to encourage future teachers and current teachers of the different opportunities that we can use in the classroom.
Anything else you want to share for people who might be watching this, alumni, other faculty?
Wow. Alumni. God. You guys, my last group at the governor's school was the class of 1998, I believe. So that group is probably, they're in the 40s, no, close to 40s.
Yep.
Wow. I do miss the governor's school students. I had a great opportunity there. I thought there was going to be a huge difference when I left the governor's school when I went to Tucker, and it wasn't.
Interesting.
because what I found out, students are students no matter where you go. And the same things that I saw at the governor's school, I saw it at Tucker. So, but it's just an opportunity to make those connections with individuals and to do something positive. So I try to be a role model in all things that I do personally as well as professionally.
Well, thank you so
Yeah.
much for your time today.
All right. Hopefully I did well.
You did fantastic. Everyone's
Thank
going
you,
to love
Ian.
hearing from you, I'm sure.
All right. Thanks, Ian. It was a pleasure.
My pleasure.